or honestly, I actually prefer the composition of sequence slightly better. Although I would have maybe wanted to see Leroy on a Fiora rather than the Camille. But other than that, I feel like Sequence has a really nice setup for themselves. Lots of support, lots of safety for Fake AD, and now being on a Corki, he can reposition himself in a better position compared to when he was on the Kaisa. So there is more options, more flexibility for the Sequence team. That's my prediction here. I don't want to call it like a bias, but yeah, that's my prediction, at least with how I view these picks.
Well, it does seem like I'm always the one playing the devil's advocate, because in this case, it's not because I just want to play the devil's advocate, but really because I just like Impunity's lineup. In fact, if Impunity were to pick up that Yasuo instead of Fiora, I would be super happy. But I'm pretty happy with this Fiora as well, because 1v1 against the Camille, just riposte against that hook shot, and just Grand Challenge immediately brings down the Camille. So it's gonna be easy game for the side of Impunity, for the side of Fiora. So Team Sequence maybe just change something up. There could be a chance that we will be looking at a little bit of lane swap, especially since the 2v2 down in the bottom lane is not working out that well for them, because the Alistar Kaisa combo is already pushing this Corki down to a critical amount of health, and there is no way that this Corki can stay in lane any longer, because one simple headbutt and just wait until the mana regeneration from Wrath comes in, Fake AD is gone.
There really is just that dynamic duo synergy that we're seeing here from Impunity. A big fight on this Scuttler. It's not even the Rip Herald, it's just the lesser version of that. And look at that initiate, forcing the flash away from Leroy WR. That will be hurting him in the later stages, because I feel like once he reached level 5, he shouldn't have his flash up just yet. Lots of mobility, lots of control in the river, and when you become king of the river, you're able to just be that dominant in here and whatnot. Seems like there is going to be Scarlet Pella very low in terms of HP, but he just comes in as a 4-man and denies the final blow on the ADC of Impunity. Still though, this does give Fake AD some chance to start farming up.
Just the sheer presence of Alistar is enough to intimidate the side of Sequence, because they know that they can't play greedy anymore. They need to find ways in order to fight against the side of Impunity, and I think that a lane swap very likely could work out. Alas, yes, I know. The patch notes, they are discouraging lane swaps, and the fact that they are the turrets have now have more magical and physical resistance, but it's not really more about bringing the turrets down anymore. It's more about winning the fight, because Corki down in the bottom lane just couldn't stand a chance against the duo of Impunity. So just a little bit of a switcheroo, because Team Sequence, they're kind of betting quite a lot on the Corki. There's a lot of damage potential that Corki is able to bring out onto the board, as long as the Camille and the Jumpin brings out the things correctly. And in the meantime, down in the bottom lane, the Gatling gun just going to be biting the heck out of this Alistar, but still not enough damage to deal with it. The hook shot coming from the side of Leroy jumps right onto Ares. We do have the Grand Challenge. First of the Vitals popped, but unfortunately Leroy jumps himself right back. But the second Vitals pop, but it doesn't really matter, because the Asana Battery is going to be the one that brings Camille right up into the air, allows Ares to deal the finishing blow.
Oh man, that was Leroy WR not having the spider sense. His mutation is not yet complete, not able to feel that there was something a bit wrong. Why was Ares popping his Grand Challenge and not deep diving into the lane there? There has to be something that's going to happen. And speaking of something happening, it's going to be Fake AD. And look at that, they deny him from picking up these wild fruits. And as Wrath is already level 6 and he's pretty beefy, he can absorb all those turret hits as Scarlet Pell goes in for the final blow. I love how they saved up all their dashes so that Corki, Fake AD here, could not pick up the wild fruit and heal back out and possibly even get one kill before he does get taken down. This just goes to show how intelligent Impunity are with going with these fights, and it just really goes over the heads of Sequence as of the moment, as of the start of this game too.
I think, despite Sequence losing 2 men before, I think that they are not on such a bad road. But in the meantime, take a look at the middle side. We do have hashtag Ultimate going to be pushed right out onto the opponent's side, but unfortunately just going to be pushing away from the entire Ultimate itself, and thus the Hextech Ultimatum is now gone. We do have the Corki. Valkyrie is up. He puts himself in a pretty nice positioning, but the battle dance coming in from this Rakan is going to expose exposed fake AD right in front of the enemies, but surprisingly they are not gonna care about fake AD at all. They allowed him to put the missile barrage onto the side of Wrath. It misses, it's not going to deal enough damage. They know that the Corki is not online yet, and thus he is not a priority. My oh my, that priority management coming from Impunity. They know that Corki, yeah, you can't deal that much damage at all at this point of time, so we're just gonna leave you out. We're gonna kill your friends, then we come for you.
Now they're just gonna try to go for this dragon immediately. I do like how they were able to get in and that steal and still swag out with the flashes and everything. So there's still not much of a incredible advantage for Impunity. Sequence are still showing to put in a lot of effort and a lot of challenge to Impunity here, but they gotta be careful because, like you said, Fake AD has still yet to really spike right out. Don't think his items are agreeing with him as of the moment. There is going to be a stop on that recall, but Wrath is going to be the one to expend or decline his recall just so that his Kaisa can. And immediately as the dragon is out, look at the rotations coming in here from Impunity. They want to keep challenging. They want to put this Kaisa somewhere where the big objectives are as the Rift Herald does spawn. It seems like Impunity are slowly getting in that position to start getting that big goal.
Yeah, speaking of big golds, most of the players coming from Impunity have more than 5,000 gold, while for the side of Team Sequence, they only have Seraphine with, well, more than 5,000 gold, ironically. Seraphine is doing a little bit too well in the middle lane, something that I was not expecting, to be honest. But, well, if Seraphine is doing well, then we can predict, or perhaps we could be looking at a little bit more poke AP damage from the side of Seraphine, except for the fact that I think that his comfort in mid lane has been taken advantage of. Should really start to roam a little bit more and assist his fellow friends and try to win fights, because now it is not too bad to start up fights, but I have no idea why this we've got that job the Fog that is just pretty much prioritizing on the Rift Scholar, but it doesn't really quite matter at this point of time. Everyone else just gonna be flying right up into the air. What exactly is happening? They got a Cataclysm that completely shuts himself off, and it puts him inside of 3 members of Impunity. So sometimes, you know, the Cataclysm is not exactly the saving grace. In fact, it is going to work against you.
Yeah, it's kind of like your door opening to death, or it's the door that closes you from being revived or keeping alive. That was a really good pinch from Impunity. They are able to force the fight. Alistar Wrath, knowing that TJ can just initiate on Cyrez, knocks him right back out. And as that is happening, Ares comes in with the flank on his Fiora and keeps everybody just not in a good position for Sequence to re-engage. And Fake AD, he was way too far. Ares should be able to start things up here, but immediately as he spots 3, backs away safely. It was to still give Impunity a lot of things to work. About a 10,000 gold lead, say at the least, and Sequence really struggling to keep the pace up. And like you said, Seraphine had to start, rotating, start something with her team. But the big mistake about there is she went in front of the opponents, and it was kind of hoping that Wrath wouldn't initiate, but he just did.
At this point of time, we're looking at 8 minutes into the game, 3-10, and when looking at the economy, the gold economy, we're looking at why is that Java and the Fog jumping right in onto 3 members from Impunity with the Dimension Standard? I have no idea. Perhaps a little bit of issues when it comes to the Fog of War. They can't exactly see what is going on there, so I gonna have to give it to them, but a little bit too proactive because of the fact that they have already lost the first tier turrets in the top, mid, and the bottom lane. They can pretty much be expecting that their own jungle is unsafe territory already. Shouldn't be jumping right in with the Dimension Standard anymore. You need to pick and you need to ensure that your jungle is safe, especially since you don't have anyone around the lanes to scout out the enemy. They have lost too much vision around the map. They have lost too much control around the map. Impunity, literally, free real estate. They don't even care anymore. Sequence is literally playing with one eye closed.
They can't really do much aside from that, and just blindly going into these brushes since they don't have the wards to really supplement anything. The flag and drag out from the Jarvan, but it's still going to be too late. And Wrath, look at that. He just does not fear anybody. Big flank coming in from Swirl, sucks right in fake AD. The one target that could have been the threat for Impunity is gone and out, and Impunity knows this. They are out of blood as they charge right in, going ham, and they don't set their eyes anymore on that dragon. They don't set their eyes anymore on the big objectives. It's the Rift Herald into the mid, but immediately right after, as they know that there's no retaliation that will be had by Sequence, and they still have to deal with this with RH, Baron is the next on the dinner menu.
That is immediate prioritization from Sequence after dropping that Rift Herald. So Sequence have no time to regroup. They know that, as a matter of fact, they cannot fight for the Baron Nashor at all. In fact, just the Rakan and the Camille heading themselves into their own jungle is actually kinda scary in its own regards. But well, they may be looking at the 3v5. If Impunity actually didn't recall, it would have been an easy game over for the side of Impunity, especially Sequence. They don't really have much vision to work with. But I think that the main objective of Sequence by heading into their own jungle is just to plant that simple ward instead of getting themselves into fight. So they're slowly trying to get themselves the claim of the land slowly over time. But it's gonna be a tough job.
It's an incredibly tough job. 14k difference. No dragons had for Sequence except for the Ocean Drake, and like you said, very, very little if to no map control, map warding at all. Thinking he's gonna be the one to start it off, and yeah, that's not how it just is supposed to do. He's the ADC, he needs to be in the backline, and this should be just no amount of damage whatsoever. Sequence, it seems that they had the HP, but they all clumped up into the big cojones of the ball of Swirled, and they just got gobbled up. Yes, there's going to be Jim to maybe get the shutdown on Swirled here, but it was only a fadeaway Smite, and in the end, Smite in the late game doesn't do much. That's going to be Impunity with a 19-3 lead, and the Nexus after this one is destroyed. It's game, exactly.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate on the side of Sequence with the Nexus down right now. Sequence tried their very best to fight against Impunity, and they pretty much lost in the early game already.